Hi, Tamara. So you're Tamara Kerkhof. Is that correct?
Yeah, Kerkhof.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've known your social media handles and that's it. And so I just wanted to make sure that that's you. So you reached out to me ages ago, right? I think it was on Instagram.
Yeah.
How did you find me and why did you connect?
Well, the funny thing about it was I was pretty nervous to reach out to you as well, because I have been diagnosed with Crohn's disease at, I think, December 2017. And it's been a while of like getting used to the fact that I didn't even know what it was in the first place. And so I started searching on YouTube videos, like what it was, what it meant, and how people were coping with it, because I was having a pretty hard time. And that's when I stumbled across your YouTube channel. And it really helped me because you were so calmly talking about it and reassuring. And you were honest about what was happening and what it meant for you and how you kind of gained something out of it as well. So, and then I just like, I was so, I don't know, I really trusted what you were saying. And then I searched for you on Instagram and I thought, okay, I need to reach out to him and tell him that what he does is a really good job. Like, it really meant a lot to me. And that's what I wanted to tell you. And then after that, we had good contact, I guess. So, yeah.
I kind of explain on my side of why I started those videos. So the junior year, the summer before junior year is when I had of college. So that's the third year. I don't know how it translates for you guys.
Okay.
You're in the Netherlands, I'm in the U.S. There's a bunch of differences, both school-wise, health system-wise. I want to talk about all that. But
okay, yeah.
But so that summer I had a section of my it was the small intestine right below the stomach, so that was all inflamed from Crohn's disease. I had been suffering from Crohn's earlier, but no actual surgeries. And so then I started making videos just kind of out of the blue because I, one, was watching videos a lot, and two, I was like, this whole YouTube thing is really big. It might be interesting to share my stories. Maybe it'll blow up, maybe it won't. I don't really care, but if it helps people, that would be great. And It's cool that you actually reached out. Like I've had a few other people hit me up asking a question here or a question there, diet, whatever. But it was cool that we've actually now connected in a more real way than just like one question or whatever.
Yeah, I was just so interested. And for me, it was all so new and so scary as well. And of course, I wanted to know, like, also the difference between like me being in the Netherlands, you being in America, what they were prescribing you, and what your diet was and all that. But I just really wanted to let you know that it really helped, and that, yeah, it gave me the courage to move on as well, because that was pretty much a thing right then that I just didn't know what to do with myself.
Right. Yeah. So back then is when I was actually suffering from Crohn's. Now I'm in like this, either it's a quiet zone ever since that surgery, or like, it's in remission, similar terms to what we use for cancer terms, but, or it's cured, or like that section of inflammation, by removing it, it's gone now. So like I recently, if you go through the YouTube videos, recently it hasn't been about Crohn's because it's tough to talk about something when you don't experience it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
The only touch point I have with Crohn's is on a frequent basis is taking Humira. Like I take the one drug that I need to take for Crohn's, and that's it. And I haven't had any issues, so there's not much to talk about. But having somebody that might experience it on a more frequent basis, it's more fresh and new to you, might be more interesting for people who are trying to learn from other people's experiences.
Yeah, I think both sides are very interesting, because then, like in the beginning, it's different than when you have it for a while, or when it could be all kinds of things. Like you had an intestine part removed, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't, but I'm fine now as well. For as far as, I didn't have a flare up yet, and it's fine now.
Okay. It's good to hear.
But yeah, it's I don't want to say a struggle, because sometimes it's okay and you don't really it's always different than what it was before. Before I had Crohn's disease, but it's okay. You can live with it. You know, it's not that bad. Only if it flares up, and that's just something that I think you said as well. Like, you can live with this. It's not, you know, it's doable.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. It's totally livable, but it's something you have to focus on. I really believe, like, with anything that you want to succeed at, and health is like the biggest thing you want to succeed at, right? You want to be healthy. Like, if you don't have health, you're not going to be happy, and then you can't do anything else. Like, if you're not healthy or happy, you can't really do much. And like, it's good to see like you're smiling, laughing, and you know that side of things. But I guess, so you covered the first thing I wanted to ask is like, when was your last flare up? So was that recently, or has it been settled?
I don't really know like how to describe a flare up, because I don't think I really experienced one as in that everything infected again, like that it really inflamed again. Because for me, well, let's start at the beginning. Like in 2017, December, they pretty much everything went wrong, and I felt horrible and stuff. And when they diagnosed me, they were a little bit late. So literally all my intestines were inflamed. Like, it was white. When you saw the pictures, the intestines were just white, right, which is horrible to see, by the way.
Yeah,
so
the endoscopy photos are always really gross to see, and usually pretty traumatizing.
And I was like halfly awake after the like not a surgery, but after the endoscopy.
You're right.
And like, I don't know, it was just the best shock of my life. Like, I did not know what it was, and the doctor just went like, "You have Crohn's disease," and I was like, I don't know what that means, like, at all.
Yeah, it's usually. What's funny is they don't even often know what it means. Like, they know the symptoms, and they know like, hey, if this number is high, if we see these things, that's Crohn's. But it's a family of issues. It's not like one thing. Yeah. It's not like diabetes. Oh, you're resistant to insulin to this extent. Exactly. That's one thing. Yeah. That's diabetes. But it's so general.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, yeah, you have Crohn's disease. And I was like, yeah, okay. And like, what is it? Yeah, like a problem with your immune system. And I was like, okay. And how are we going to get through it? Yeah, you get medicine. But then if you ask, like, why did I get it? They have no clue. they just don't know, like, why some people have it, or how it exists, or they have no clue. Well, and that's kind of horrible.
Well, the doctors who aren't really educated, like, they know what Crohn's disease is, they can read the papers and whatever, but it's generally seen as, it's usually it's hard to describe, but there's tears or gaps in the mucus lining of the epithelial cells in your intestines, right? So you've got your intestines, you've got your epithelial cells on the inner side of the intestines, and then you've got this mucus that covers it, because it's really a toxic environment, right? You've got food going through. It might be healthy, it might not be healthy. You've got it's digesting, so there's acids and stuff breaking it down, and this mucus protects it. But if there's a gap in the mucus, then it's immediately to the epithelial cells, which are supposed to be a little bit protective, but they're also pretty delicate. And so if the acids and bacteria in your digestive tract get into those little gaps, then it starts this cycle of bacteria gets in, the cells in that area get aggravated, your immune system attacks it, and then it gets inflamed, it breaks down the mucus layer even more, and then it spirals and spirals and spirals. And so like, there's so many ways to attack it, right? To solve it.
It's so funny that you are saying this, because what they actually explained to me was literally my immune system doesn't know what it's doing, so it's attacking your own body. Mm-hmm. And when it's attacking your own body, it's just inflaming things that shouldn't be inflamed, you know?
Right. That's like the basic explanation of any kind of autoimmune disease, right? So like arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis in the joints is when your immune system attacks your joints. And usually that's just, I don't know the research behind that, but it's just kind of general. But Crohn's generally is what I just described, is it's a specific. There's a start to the cycle. It doesn't just start out of nowhere. But so, could you describe your symptoms? You don't need to get too graphic. You don't need to get too personal. But I'd love to know like what you experienced, because then I could describe what I experienced after.
Well, my story is pretty graphic, to be honest, because it all started out very weird. And it's not very nice for a girl to talk about this, but I'm gonna try to make it as
if
nice
you feel comfortable. You don't need to share
as possible. But basically, I had diarrhea for a whole while, and everything kind of like my intestines and everything between it kind of got sore and broken and stuff. So I got tears, and I don't know what you call them, like in fistulas, I guess.
Okay, yeah, fistulas.
Yeah,
and that was inside your intestines, like inside your body. So from parts of your intestine to parts of your intestine.
Yeah, and also fissure, which I don't know what you call them in English, but like little tears, bit your anus, like little tears, and they hurt so bad. So I went to the ER actually for that, and that was the first time that I literally, because we didn't know at the time what was going on. All I know was that it hurt so bad, and I was screaming, and I couldn't even breathe normally anymore, and it was horrible. It was horrific, actually. So yeah, I went to the emergency room, and they gave me a whole bunch of morphine.
Yeah, that's usually the first reaction. Opiates are
yeah. So because I couldn't talk, I could only scream. That's how much pain I had. Like it was literally like I was being killed, and I always thought I was gonna die, to be honest. And I don't know, I stayed there for like the whole night, and then at 7 a.m. they told me they were gonna do an endoscopy, which I didn't know what it was in the first place. I think after that they told me I had Crohn's. I don't really, like, the timeline is very vague to me because I had so much morphine for like half a year.
Right. Okay.
So it's all very vaguely, but that's what I remember.
Admittedly, morphine is a fun drug. You do feel really awesome on it. Assuming you don't have any, assuming it actually takes care of the pain, it is a fun drug. Well, after my surgery, they gave me one of those buttons you can just click away.
Yeah, I had that too. I had that as well. But like, because I had morphine like in pills, and I had morphine on the button.
Right. Okay.
Because it just, like, I had so much pain that it didn't work. And they even told me at some point, like, we cannot give you any more. Like, there's no more morphine. You should just, there's not anything we can do now. Mm-hmm. And they also had like this injection in my muscles that should help for pain killing. Okay. So they also did that. And that's when it helped. But I also had an epidural, I think that it's called in English. Like the
epidural. So that goes between the nerves in your spine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I had that for a few days as well.
Okay.
Because I was in so much pain. And they actually gave me, I think, Remicade for the first time.
Sorry, what was that?
Remicade.
Remicade, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first drug I was on as well. So it's an IV. Usually you have to sit there for a few hours as they give you, it's usually like 1 or 2 bags of the IV fluid. It takes a while.
You have 3 hours of just sitting. And no, I did not. Okay. They were very, very careful though. They were like, we have nurses and they have to be with you. And for if you have anything, if there's an allergic reaction, they have to be there. So I was pretty scared. It scared me really badly because, like, it's the first time you are laying in a hospital. It took me like half a year of examinations and stuff. And I don't know what they all did, but like stuff. And then you get this IV with, like, it feels surreal that you are a very healthy person and then suddenly you're in this hospital for a while having IVs.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty like earth-shattering sometimes when it's like, you're living here and all of a sudden you're living over here. It's like a completely different change of tack, and it can definitely be a little traumatizing.
It was definitely, because I had a lot of pain that I shouldn't have had. they could have seen it earlier, I guess. And also a lot of the nurses didn't treat me the right way at the time. So, for example, the ambulance we called, they didn't want to take me because they couldn't see where it was hurting. They were just like, stop screaming, like take a paracetamol and just chill out, you know?
Right, okay.
And that kind of stuff, like I had so much pain, and also nurses who put the IV on wrong. So only like morphine was streaming in. So my hand would swell up and it hurt so bad. All these kind of things that just traumatized me.
Does that speak to some extent to the medical system there? Because that's one of the topics I want to ask about. Is so the Netherlands is entirely socialized, right, with its medicine. So you don't pay anything out of pocket, or do you?
Well, it's kind of the system. You pay for your insurance,
Okay.
your health insurance. I don't know what I pay for it. I pay more than regular folks would, for sure, because I have like all these things that I insured extra.
Roughly to describe it, because like I know I'm covered by my mother's plan right now since I'm 25. That stops at 26. So her insurance
I think for us
is
21, but I don't know for sure. But I can check it. I think
her insurance is like tens of thousands of dollars to cover the whole family for exactly. It's wild. But it covers it's Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's one of the best insurance plans like kind of out there. So like for example, my Humira, I see the invoice coming from the prescription company, the pharmacy. It's like, let's say it's $10,000 on the invoice. And if I didn't have insurance, that's what I would theoretically pay. But then insurance says, oh, we're going to pay everything except $5.
Yeah.
Which is the craziest thing. It's like you're taking $10,000. You can't just have... I don't understand why they have us pay this small nominal fee. But then what's kind of crazy is there's this additional insurance company. It's a prescription plan that just is part of the company, and then they cover that $5. So I pay that out of pocket, and then they give it back to me in a check.
And then they give it back. Yeah.
But it's like $5. But for a drug that's $10,000 per shipment, why are we worrying about $5? I've never understood that. But so roughly, I gave you in the tens of thousands of dollars to cover 5 people in my family. Roughly, what is it for your on your personal plan, or I don't know if you're covered.
I don't know. I know I pay 157 euros each month, but I get from the government we get like a part as well, which is I think 130 or something. So 127.
So you get something from the government, but then you pay the company. Basically, you pay your insurance, but you get something from the government as well, which we call a toeslag, but I don't know what you call it in English. They just like it's a helping hand, I guess. Okay.
For the most basic insurance and everything. Above that, you pay yourself. But you also have your own risk, and that's kind of what you are also talking about, like. If a surgery costs so much, and for example, like if I go on an IV, it will cost so much, and I will only pay 20% of it, I think. But the 20% is your own risk until 385 euros each year. If you are over the 385, then it's free.
Okay. So no matter what it is, like...
No matter what it is, yeah.
Okay. That's kind of wild. So is that no matter the treatment or no matter the... So let's say you get the proverbial, hey, I sprained my wrist, I need somebody to wrap it up. And that costs 150 euros. You're going to pay the full amount. But then...
depending on what the insurance says. Because sometimes they will say, pay the 150. And sometimes they will say, we cover 50%, so you only have to do 50%. And then it slowly adds up until 385 each year. And after
okay,
like
so that's the cumulative out-of-pocket expense is $385. That's really reasonable. I mean, that's very much affordable. But
it is.
so yeah, so that would be like the deductible, right? Like with anything, it's what you have to pay. For like car insurance, for example, it might be a $500 deductible, and they'll pay everything out. Like you get into a car accident, that you only have to pay the $500. But
Exactly.
our deductible for this really already expensive plan is wildly expensive. I don't know if it's $1,000 or $5,000 out of pocket that comes out of our pocket before the insurance will just cover everything else. So usually, what you'll notice on both sides, so patients, the January to like March time, the first quarter is usually the most painful if you're somebody who's basically always sick, right? Because that's the time that you're paying. That's the new year. You start to pay out that whatever it is. Let's say it's $5,000, but then the rest of the year, insurance is covering almost everything, at least for the plan I have, or I'm covered by right now. But what is, I guess, on the provider side, is they also see a drop at the beginning of the year of patients coming in, because I work with a chiropractor. I've mentioned it before in some of the other videos.
Yeah.
And so I talk to him and I get to understand the business side of things, and it's really interesting. So he does a bunch of different things, physical therapy, pulse therapy, stuff like that. But from January to like March, he sees a huge drop in patients because they have to pay out of pocket. And so they want to minimize that like dent in their wallet before they want to spread it out through the year. So that's kind of interesting. $385 is really affordable. I should consider moving there with my Crohn's disease.
Yeah, well, the thing is, here we find it a lot. Like we know that in America it's a lot more, but I don't know, for some reason, like not everybody can pay it. So it's still a lot. And for me, as a student, I'm so glad that my parents helped me with it, because I couldn't, every February, I'm lost like 385 euros standard. Like that's just going to happen because I have the IVFs and I have all the other things like the doctors that I need to see. And, so standard in February, March, somewhere, I would have to pay 385 euros.
Right. Have you actually seen any of the bills? So like for the IV, let's say.
No.
Do they don't give you a bill that breaks it out and then says, oh, well, what you owe is like 150 euros?
I think they do, but I don't really look at them. It's very bad. But I have to think of it anyway.
I was just curious if you had seen, for example, like an aspirin. That's a common story that people talk about, how in the US it's ridiculous because one aspirin that you can get the pill for 5 cents because you buy a big bottle at Rite Aid or CVS or one of the pharmacies.
Yeah.
That they charge $5 in a hospital. Why? Well, because we had to go to our pharmacy, and that took time for the doctor, and the pharmacy had to handle it. Then we had the doctor to bring it, and then the nurse had to actually give it to you in a little cup, and then they had to watch you take it, so that cost $5. And it's
yeah.
Okay. So you haven't seen any of those crazy like price differentials of bandages or whatever?
No, to be honest, I didn't look at most of them, just because my mindset is kind of, I need to have it anyway, and I need to pay it anyway, so I'm not going to change that. And that's why I didn't look at it yet. But if you're interested, I can always like search for one.
Okay, yeah, I probably would be curious to see what kind of breakdown it might be. And you can obviously scratch out any of the information that's personal.
That's okay.
But so, would you ever consider moving, like, for your career side of things? Netherlands is a smaller country. Would you consider moving to a bigger country like the U.S., for example, that might not have
It's so funny that you say this. It's funny that you say this because I always said I wanted to move to America. Like, I wanted to go so badly because I love the space and the nature and, like, I don't know, the vibe of it, I guess. Because I went to Florida once, to Orlando, and I fell in love, And I always said, like, I want to go there. And I want to move there, and I want to do my thing over there. But I got sick, right? I think a month before I would go to a ranch in America in Ohio. I think it was.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I have family
I would
out
go
in Ohio.
there. Yeah, I think I would go there to do voluntary work at a horse ranch for like 4 weeks or 5. And
Okay.
I wanted to go so badly, but then I got sick, so I couldn't go. And after that, now I would still love to, but it holds me back quite a bit because I know everything with the hospitals and stuff, everything is arranged here and it's all arranged to my needs. And I don't know, for some reason, I'm scared to go to America and be like having these huge bills and maybe not having the care that I need. Not that America would be bad, but any country outside of the Netherlands for now, it's kind of scary. Like I would go on vacation for 2 weeks, but after that I would be like, okay, it's scary.
Yeah, there's a buffer of like, all right, 2 weeks. All right, if it's a crisis, I can fly home. But if you plan a month vacation or 2 months, it's like, all right, well, I have hotels, I have car rentals. You're sunk into the idea. And then if something came up, well, yeah, that leads to the anxiety that some people have when they have a chronic illness. That's one of the things I wanted to ask is like, do you feel that like your mental health is affected by Crohn's disease and how, and maybe how you've dealt with that?
Well, when it comes to traveling, for sure, I'm a little more scared about that I have to make sure that everything is okay for when something happens, that I have some kind of stability. Yeah.
Stability. Yeah.
Yeah, stability. Yeah, thank you. For like when something happens, so that there's a hospital or anything that I can go to, or that insurance is covered and everything like that. So that's kind of scary, but it's not necessarily that I just got peace with it, I guess. That the Netherlands is also good for work and stuff.
Okay.
But then in the beginning, when I got diagnosed and I was in the hospital a lot, I surely got depressed. I think I really was depressed. I was laying in the hospital and looking outside the window thinking that it would never be okay again. And I got myself thinking a lot about that you just want to run away. For some reason, I just really wanted to go. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go to America and I'm going to go there and I'm going to stay there. But the thing is, you cannot run away from your own body. And that's
true.
Really horrible to get confronted with when you just, you want to have a normal life. And when you're in the hospital and you're like, okay, when I get better, I want to move somewhere else and I'm going to have a great life. And then you realize, yeah, you cannot only move your brain and soul, it's going to be your body that's going to be with you.
Right. Yeah, that kind of goes to like, you're carrying a problem with you, but the idea that you want to solve it permanently, right? I know a lot of people like, I found the cure, whatever. But I think, when you get on the right protocol, it could work long term. Like for me, it's been like 3 and almost 4 years now. Almost 4 years now that I've just been taking Humira every 2 weeks and no problems. And that's possible, but then it's still like, all right, I want to plan a 1 month long vacation, let's say. Well, I know in 1 month I have to take 2 Humira pens. So, well, if I leave the Humira out of the refrigerator for more than, 24 hours, it goes bad. Okay, well, now that's a problem. Yeah. So there's all these anxiety logistics of like, you can't plan. You're not free. You can't just throw a backpack on and just run into the woods like you were kind of joking about. You can't just like be off the grid and like unplug your brain from like society. You're stuck. It's like the diabetic problem. It's like when power goes out, their insulin goes bad. Now they're stuck. So
yeah, exactly.
It's definitely very tough. So I know that I definitely was very anxious about certain things, but it was very acute. It was always like, all right, I'm having surgery for my on my intestines. What's the chance that you guys are gonna give me a bag? The
stomas.
Colostomy bag. All right, that's 10% chance. I'm like, that's a huge chance. That's if I roll the dice 10 times, I come up dead one time. And then it was like, well, what's the chance that it's permanent? Oh, well, it's 10% of that. If we do give you, all right, that's only a 1% chance. That's not too scary. It's all like how you cheat yourself into believing that it's going to be okay, I think.
Yeah, I'm like a master at panicking. So for me, that would be very bad.
Oh, so like less information sometimes is better for you?
Yeah, I guess so. Because I don't know, I stress out so much about these things. Like I could lie awake at night and be scared about getting a bag, even though that's not even the case right now.
Okay, yeah. I think, see, it's so tough because I've been doing reading. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen the What I Value account on Instagram. I've been sharing the posts that I post there on my personal Instagram stories. But one of the things was that that like a ton of your neurotransmitters. So you got dopamine, which is like your happiness and motivation chemical. Mostly happiness, motivation, and focus. And then you got your serotonin, which is like your another one of the happy chemicals. Those are really primarily created in your intestines and your gastrointestinal tract.
True.
So like with Crohn's, where that's all jumbled up and like a lot of it might not be even like your brain is having the anxiety. It's like your gut is having the anxiety, or causing the anxiety, and quite literally, like it's physically messed up, but it's also not giving the right fuel to your brain to say you're good, you're healthy, you're happy, you should be happy now. So it's kind of wild.
It's true, and the fun fact is that I had anxiety attacks like with PTSS as well, or PTSD, it's called in English, as well, from like the hospitalization and everything. And I am getting serotonin, I guess, because I'm getting fluoxetine, which is kind of a Prozac.
Okay.
And then my psychiatrist also knew this, that the intestines are also having serotonins, and that it could work that way. So he talked to my intestines doctor, and they decided to get me off the IVFs to check out if it will work to get my mental health better as well.
Let me just look at something. Yeah, serotonin 95% is created in the gut. 95.
Yeah,
that's wild. And then dopamine is 50%, according to a lot of studies.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so like the predominant amount might not be created, or maybe it's being created but not delivered up to your brain, etc.
Yeah.
So you were saying that they took you off of one drug so that you could do, what was that?
Fluoxetine, which is like Prozac.
Okay, so they took you off of that.
No, they took me off of the IVFs, which was infliximab, I guess that you call it, which is also kind of like a Remicade.
Okay. Yeah. There's a bunch of the anti.
So the thing that you get through IVF, which downs our immune system to cope with Crohn's, they cut that out now because for a year I've been stable with the numbers that they need. I don't know what you call them, like the numbers they need to see if I'm inflammatory.
Right. Yeah. Inflammatory markers.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've been stable for a year now, and my mental health is first now, I guess, first priority. And they told me, like, we're gonna stop the IVFs and get you some serotonin and see how your mental health is gonna do.
So how do they give you the serotonin? Is it capsules? Is it injections? I'm curious. Just is it
pills?
It's pills. Okay. Do you notice
it's kind of Prozac.
Like you take the pill. I know, like, let's use Ritalin as an example, a focus drug. You take it hours, or like a half an hour later, you start to feel focused, you start to feel happy and motivated. What is it with serotonin? Is it very quick?
I don't really have an explanation. It takes like a couple of weeks for it to help. Okay. But it also depends on how much you take, because in the first place I was getting, I think, 20 micrograms.
Is it milligrams? Is it serotonin or is it an SSRI?
Oh my God, it's serotonin, but it's like a cheaper version of Prozac.
Okay.
So I think it's still an SSRI.
Yeah, it's an SSRI then, probably, because I was when you said that you're taking serotonin, I was like, oh, you're taking like because you can take like intranasal oxytocin, like the feel
Really?
cozy chemical. Yeah, yeah. You can take that as a nasal spray, but I didn't know serotonin could be taken as a capsule because I didn't think it was orally bioavailable.
I don't know. Like,
Okay, so
all I know is
if
that
you're taking an SSRI, that's kind of cheating your brain into thinking it has more serotonin than it really does. But
yeah,
that's
so
the way they do.
that's probably what I'm doing.
It's the way the medical system handles it. So going from the neurotransmitters and stuff like that, talks about the gut. Do you have a special diet you're on? Because everybody has a different diet. What's yours?
Well, at first I didn't really care about food at all. Like I just ate whatever I wanted and that's it. Then I got sick, and because of Crohn's, I got kind of a lactose intolerance from like a border kind of thing. Like I can have a certain amount, but then after that I'll be sick, you know? So that's one thing.
So you cut out dairy completely, or just you're down to a very little amount?
I cut out dairy when I'm at home.
Okay.
So at home, I but when I go out or I eat someone else, then I don't mind dairy.
Okay.
I also have these pills that help with digesting dairy.
Okay, so lactose pills?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I go out and I have a pizza or something, then I could always use those. But most of the time, if I don't eat dairy at home, then I'll be fine. You know, I can have a pizza, but you know, it's just I don't eat too much because then I'll get sick.
Okay. So dairy, but is that the only diet change, or do you watch?
No, I'm really looking at more fibers. I eat more fibers.
Okay.
So I eat oatmeal in the morning a lot of the times. And I eat, I don't know what you call it in English. Like you have bread, spelt is called in Dutch, which doesn't have like the normal things you put in bread. Like
So it's gluten-free bread?
Kinda. I don't know what you call it.
Is it flat bread?
No, it's not flat bread. It's just normal bread.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm gonna translate for a sec because then you'll know what I mean.
It is funny that you guys have, like, you have an incredible understanding of English, that we can have this discussion in English, but it's so one-sided. Like you can't say something in Dutch and me understand. It's like, it's very unfair for you. That you have to be thinking in two languages. And it's
actually spelled bread in English as well. So
what is it in English?
Spelled as well.
Interesting. Okay, I haven't heard of it. But so that's just a higher? Is it less refined?
Yeah, I guess so. It has less. Oh my god. It has less grain in it. You know, like it's not whole grain, so it doesn't have whole grain.
Okay, so it's just a very basic bread. It looks kind of like what we have traditional white bread or Wonder bread is a very highly refined.
Yeah, but like in normal white bread, there's always lactose because they use milk, and that's also not the case.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So
I eat so little bread. Like
it's vegan.
I eat very little. Oh, it is vegan as well?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. If it doesn't have dairy, it should be mostly vegan. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing. But we eat a lot of bread in the Netherlands, like a lot. So that's probably why, because we eat bread in lunchtime most of the time. Okay.
You guys prepare sandwiches, or is it like a loaf of bread that you cut up pieces and then, do open style sandwiches, or how do you eat the bread if you're eating a lot of it?
I always eat like the bowls of bread and then cut open with like, a lot of people eat cheese, but I eat like the vegan cheese. Okay. So that's kind of the thing that most Dutch people eat, or like hagelslag. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Is that like coleslaw? The cabbage and...
Wait, I'm going to show you. You're going to love this. So we have chocolate sprinkles on bread.
So you pour that on the bread?
Yeah, you do like butter on bread, and then you pour these chocolate sprinkles on them.
Okay. Huh.
And it's amazing. It's
that
good.
Sounds like a dessert.
It does. But that's what a lot of children eat as well. And I have it for when I feel it, because I don't eat it a lot, but it's cool. I like it. So that's what we eat here.
Okay.
Then
you no dairy or low dairy, high fiber. Now what other changes? Do you eat a lot of meats in the Netherlands? I don't think so, right?
I think it's coming to a turning point, because I think a lot of older generations are eating a lot of meat, but then younger generations are kind of trying not to for the climate,
Right.
But I eat meat, I think, once or twice a week. And the rest of the week I eat either like vegan meat or nothing at all. So just greens and some potatoes or something.
Okay.
And then once a week I eat fish.
That's it? I'd imagine the Netherlands being so close to the ocean that you guys have lots of fresh fish. Is that...
Yeah, I think we do. But it also depends where you live, I guess. I don't know, like...
Right. You could argue, hey, New Jersey is right on the coast, and why don't you guys have a ton of fish? That's a fair point.
Depends,
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of my diet, I guess. And I also had a few weeks of like these food drinks, because I was losing so much weight. So in the morning I had to take like a food drink that was protein with something else.
Yeah, so they usually have a bunch of minerals. I used to have to drink Ensure. It's a kid's drink. They're very small, and they taste like you mix. This is what it tastes like. It tastes like if you mixed chalk and cardboard and a little bit of milk and just blended that up. That's exactly what the vanilla version tasted like. So I don't know. Is that what you were drinking?
Same thing. Yeah, I think I had the same thing.
Yeah, it's nasty. But I remember...
It's not really milky either. Like, it's kind of slimy almost.
It's watery and slimy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to have those... So before I really, knew, quote, I had Crohn's, but obviously I had it since I was, 12. So in high school, there was a part of my... I think it was, sophomore, maybe freshman year of high school, that I was drinking milkshakes every day. So I would literally have a thermos about a foot tall, and it was filled with a mint ice cream milkshake. Ice cream scoops, some milk, and maybe some protein or something like that. And that was it. But that was my whole lunch, because I was so uncomfortable I couldn't eat anything solid. So I'd have a piece of toast, throw it up. I'd eat some crackers, throw it up. It was just anything solid just made me so sick. And I think that part of my life, drinking so much milk, my body's like, I'm done. You did it.
Yeah.
You too much milk? All right, no more.
Done.
And since then, I really can't, I honestly can't have milk without either having a Lactate capsule. Like, if I have a pizza, I'll still be uncomfortable the next day. Gassy, bloated, I also kind of feel gross, like my body just feels wrong. So I just try to avoid dairy as well. I think that's pretty common. Do you read Reddit ever?
Sometimes I have it, but not a lot.
Okay, there's a Crohn's disease.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but there's two things I see on this Reddit. One is people kind of half complaining. They post a picture or they post a story, but it's mostly kind of I have something to complain about. Tell me that it's a good thing, or tell me that I feel okay. And then the other side is is a question often. It's I just got diagnosed. I have a question. And I wish that the community was a little bit more proactive with reading stuff. I have a tendency to here's a problem, let me fix it. Not let me find the expert. For example, the laptop in front of me. This laptop was my sister's. She one day tried to turn it on and it didn't turn on. And so her solution was to go to the IT department department in her school and tried to get it fixed, yada, yada, yada. I like Googled it for 5-10 minutes and then I found the solution. Obviously, this is an easy fix, but it turned out it was just some battery issue. Now I have a great laptop in front of me. She's got some new fancy thing, but I've got her old laptop and it works amazing for what I want, which is a nice throw around kind of easy thing to have. But with anything, it's like, I feel like I said at the beginning, with Crohn's disease, like it's like kind of not on the doctor to solve it sometimes. Like, you know your body best. Like, they're not going to say, hey, skip dairy. They're going to say,
No.
well, when you eat dairy, does it help you? Or does it hurt you? And you're going to say, well, I feel bad afterwards. And they're going to say, I'm going to tell you with my expertise to stop eating dairy. And it's like,
yeah.
well, I could have said, it makes me feel bad, so I'll stop doing it. That's like a no-duh kind of obvious moment.
Yeah.
It seems like, unless they're like really well-renowned. Like, I know the Mount Sinai, where I go, where my doctor is, they're well known for IBS, IBD, and Crohn's. You know, the whole
Mine too.
But like so many people across the country, and this is where Reddit kind of comes in, is like they talk about the doctors not knowing. Like, hey, I have this thing. They told me I have Crohn's disease because, you know, my calprotectin level was high. Well, do they know what to do, or are they just going to throw you on Humira or Remicade and just say, all right, hope it's going to fix itself now? Do they tell you like diet changes or supplements? Like that, I guess that goes to one of the last things I wanted to ask you about in terms of supplements. Do you take anything, any kind of like probiotic? Do you eat fermented foods, anything like that?
I eat normally, like what I already told you. I do have vitamin C's and vitamin D pills. And I take extra iron in like a lemonade form, because I also struggled with bloedarmoede, which like
anemia.
When you have not enough iron in your blood.
Yeah, so you felt a little tired, a little faint. It was hard to
run or so, like and also when I don't take the iron, then I feel tired a lot. So
yeah, so you're anemic.
Those are the things that I take. That's all. Actually,
you'd be shocked with what I take. I take so many supplements. Like, I have a shelf on my cabinet. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 different bottles that I actually take. It's not like it's for show. But the ones that you covered were vitamin D. I also take vitamin D and K2. That's really good, especially so when you have a high inflammation, like inflammation in your body is more likely to use calcium. So calcium they'll deposit calcium to create healing in the body, right? And so that calcification, one of the things it'll do is it'll put it on the arteries in your body, and then that causes atherosclerotic calcification. So it's hardening of the artery, and that's often associated with, I believe it's like heart attacks.
Okay.
So K2 is a vitamin you can take that can help with that. So if you just change your vitamin D to vitamin D plus K2, that's a good little tweak. That's some research that I've been doing recently, trying to figure out what's the
that's pretty cool.
best number. So I think it's like 300 milligrams. It was in one of my recent Instagram posts, but I take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D, and then the K2 that comes with it, and 2 capsules of that. And then zinc is a good one, especially with now COVID. Zinc and vitamin C. I'm glad you're taking vitamin C. That's a really beneficial one for protecting against COVID.
I'm like trying to be as healthy as I can be, and I'm trying as much with food as I can be. But that's why, like with the oatmeal, I always take like either a banana or an apple or anything chopped into it. These kind of things. But I'm not a big pill eater, so for me, the vitamin C and D are like the top thing.
Okay, yeah, those are basics that a lot of people need, especially like you're up in the Netherlands. It's a little bit farther north than I am here, but everybody, with paler skin, who, especially in the modern day where we stay inside all day, vitamin D is so important. We're not getting it from the sun. And right now,
a lot of people here take vitamin D.
And I'm gonna go on a hike later, but we don't get enough exposure to the sun, and that's kind of a problem. All right. So two things. So do you have any things that you wish you knew right at the start? Is there anything that comes to mind that if I could tell my younger self of a few years ago these things, that would make that person so much better off?
Whew. I think of a lot of these things were already told to me, like you're gonna be fine, and you can live with this. It's just gonna take a little bit of adjusting and blah blah. But the panic was so big, I didn't listen to any of these things. So I think what I would have done is probably listen, like really take it to heart, because it is gonna get better and it is okay, and you can live with it. Like, it's not that bad.
Okay. So it's not that bad is the sentiment that a lot of people should take, you think? Well, not that
Yeah,
it's
I
not
think
that bad,
so.
it's that it's going to be better.
It's
What
going to
feels
be
really
better.
bad.
Like, it's not that bad as in, like, you're not gonna die. I thought I was gonna die. So for me, like, at that point, I didn't listen to any of it. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that it was gonna be worth living for anymore. Like, I was like, how can people live with this? Like, it hurts so bad and everything. And now, like, I'm fine. It's fine.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate to hear that from somebody who's, dealing with it a lot more severely than me. Then the other one, I guess we kind of covered it, but it was kind of broken apart, was do you have any habits or tricks in your day-to-day life that just makes it easier when you do have a flare-up?
Now, well, when I'm feeling a little bit bad, because sometimes you just feel bad, like you don't really have a flare-up, but you have eaten something that isn't really working for you, or in the beginning, like it could be a salad or something, and like I would be horrible, like it would feel horrible. These days, it's really important to tell yourself it's okay to rest. It's okay to give your body space to like heal and like get adjusted to what's happening, because it takes a lot of energy. Your digestive system takes a lot of energy, and sometimes you feel so tired and like your tummy and everything is still kind of bruised or something. So it's good to have a rest.
Okay. So do you find yourself napping when you're having a flare-up, or kind of lounging around a lot more? I know you do a lot of, you're in a city style life, right? So you have to kind of go places more often than I do necessarily. But do you end up kind of relaxing, napping, watching some TV? When
You have to. At some point you have to, because I have always been that person that is busy all the time doing all kinds of stuff, and it's just not going to work when your body isn't in it, and you will feel tired, and sometimes you just need to nap. You just need to lay down for a bit, even if you don't close your eyes, or just be there for a sec. Just
Okay. Have you found socially that people don't necessarily understand what you're going through? Like, I know you don't look injured. You don't look like you said with the ambulance, that they said, "Oh, well, you're fine. I don't see anything wrong with you." Do you notice like your friends, family, people you run into, that they have that same problem, and then they don't understand, like, hey, why is she napping? Or hey, why is she like kind of lounging around? Or why is she in pain? Are they appreciative? Do they understand? Do you know?
I have a lot of lovely people in my life who do try to understand. I don't expect anyone to understand fully what I'm going through, but I live in a community, I guess, where a lot of people are struggling with a lot of stuff, and we all are very patient with one another. And I'm also that kind of person that if, for example, a friend of mine would be like, "Oh, why isn't she showing up? Because we decided this together, and now she's tired or something, and she's not showing up, and I hate it," then that's not the person for me. Like, that's not gonna work, because if you knew me, like, I don't cancel anything ever. unless it's really not gonna be, if I'm not gonna be able to. And if people are gonna be negative about something like that, then I'm sorry. That's not the note I want to live on, you know?
I see. Okay, so especially in friend circles, if they're not going to appreciate, like, hey, this is a physical thing, like the kid that has, let's say, diabetes. Hey, I need to, before lunch, I got to go, like, check my blood sugar. Like, if they're not appreciative, just cut them out, you think is a suitable thing? Cut them out of your life in terms of that negative?
Not cut them out of your life, but it's just something I don't, like, you can try to explain, but if people don't understand, then I don't want to feel bad about the fact that I'm already feeling bad, you know? Like, that's not going to work. So I don't say cut out of my life, but I think friends have a way of staying if they are your real friends.
That's very well said. Friends have a way of saying if they're your real friends, yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, I don't force anything on anyone. And if you want to be my friend, that's fine. But this is kind of what you get with it, you know?
Right, yeah, for sure. I want to ask about your design thesis. You've shown me some pictures you did some renderings of some rooms. I know you mentioned you haven't picked a thesis. But
no,
can you give me a rundown of what program you're in, how far you're into it? I'm curious. We haven't talked about that much.
There are two separate things going on with me right now because I graduated for interior design a couple of years ago, and I started my own company now in interior advice. Just because my job right now is closed because of the lockdown, and I needed money, and I really wanted to do something I'm passionate about, which is interiors. So that's why I started my company in interior advice. Next to that, I do my study at Fontes Academy of Creative Industries, and I do trend research and concept creation in lifestyle, which is basically we look at value shifts within economy, within society, and see what the value shifts are underneath the trends that are happening. And with these value shifts, we design concepts that could work for the future. So we also look into what's going to happen.
Okay, so
and that's kind of what I do.
Can you give me an example of a trend leading to a value change, and then what might be a product or idea that might come out of that?
This is very hard, actually. Separately, we made a lot of trend books, so I can definitely send you one of these as well because it's pretty interesting. But the trends are often, I'm thinking of one right now that is not made by me, but made by a colleague of mine, a student, who made one about the caretakers, which is a trend. We look at like museums and things that are happening in colleges right now that are invented. And you see a lot of these fabrics that, for example, purify the air around you, or coffins where people get buried in that are made of mushrooms. So they, get into...
Those are awesome.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Those things are all about taking care of each other or the world in a way. And that is a trend. That is the value that is underneath it.
That's the highest level. Is that the value or is that the trend?
The trend is called the caretakers. The trend itself, with all the signals that you see, is just the coffin and the fabrics and all that stuff. Those are the signals that you recognize the trend with.
Okay.
And then the value that's underneath it is, okay, we want to take care of the planet. We want to take care of others. We want to take care of ourselves. And that's what the caretakers was all about. So looking at this trend and this value, we know that there are going to be more inventions and more things that relate to that feeling. And that value of taking care of others can be projected on basically almost any company and any concept you're going to create. But it's something you keep in mind when creating something, because it's something that is happening right now and that's going to develop in the future. because now it's only shown in museums and in colleges that are inventing stuff. But it's going to take a while to hit the masses.
Okay.
And that's when you want to hook in, you know.
Well, you want to catch it before it gets to the masses, right? Because that's where you can...
Right. With the early adopters, you want to catch it. So just before it gets to the masses. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Are you working on anything right now that you could share or like tease? Explode.
Okay.
Everybody in the world is going to see this.
No, yeah. I guess we're working on something we got a company from school we had to make with a couple of students, and we're looking at target group research right now. And our target group is single people above 65 years old. And we're going to talk about intimacy and see what the problems are right now when it comes to intimacy with elderly people. And we're going to check out if we're going to get a concept out of it.
Oh, fantastic. So, that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that, obviously. But
that's what we're doing.
What was that?
That's what we're doing right now. So
yeah, no, I could tell you're doing some kind of interior design stuff, going kind of looping back, because your background is beautiful. I love the black and white concept. You got dark gray, you got black, you got a little copper note I see in right over your shoulder.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, obviously you're in a city, so it's more of an apartment style. But
yeah,
you
it's
really
a studio.
find that the design is a lot like simpler. I know you guys are very close to like the Swedish IKEA. You know, like that. I don't mean to stereotype. I'm sorry, but like you guys are close to Sweden. IKEA's from Sweden, I believe.
Yeah, we have IKEAs as well.
But is that like that style of furniture, that very kind of simple home built or build by home, but it comes flat pack? Is that common, or am I just generalizing?
Yeah, it is pretty common. Depending on, I guess, your budget as well, because IKEA is pretty big in the Netherlands. I have a lot of IKEA stuff as well that you like buy in flat things and then build up. A lot of companies work like that, besides IKEA. But when it comes to like furniture, like couches and stuff, then you don't set them up yourself.
Yeah, you don't build them yourself, right? Okay.
Yeah. So
I didn't know if with your proximity, you're so close, I guess, to the country of origin, if that has influenced interior design. Whereas like some things are very minimalistic, you know, IKEA, I know a lot of the things are generally very generally more on the minimalistic side. Some of the things in the US, like, I don't know, behind me I have some shelves, those are all metal, but you know, I've got an IKEA shelf to my left, but then this to my right is a bureau that's like, I don't know, is it 50 years old? Like, I mean, maybe that's just my style of my house. We're an older house, but is a more modern, simple design, is that generally the trend in the
depends a lot on the person. When it comes to my interior advice, I always try to lay the person's personality in it, like really see what their style is and go with that. For me, when it comes to my style, I do like it kind of clean, but not like IKEA. That's too modern for me. And I like a lot of color. So the thing is, it is brown grayish with green. But my living room, I have like kind of pink with green. And
okay, so I'm just getting a tiny view of your world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that, I don't know. I like teams as well. For me, not really like a team, like I want to do animal team or something, but like when it all just falls into one space and creates one ambiance, I guess.
Right, so each room is a little capsule of a theme. So
yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Or even if they all have the same theme, that if you come into a room, that it feels how you decorate it, you know?
I see, not just a hodgepodge of things. Well, that's kind of the underlying idea of interior design, is that it is consistent, put together. But, okay, so you started a company. What's the name of the company?
Style. Which is style, but in Dutch.
Okay. Do you have a website?
I do have a website. It's style, which is like style, but then with the Y is IJ. So style with IJ instead of a, yeah. And then dash interieur, which is Dutch, and then dash advies, which is advice in Dutch.
Okay.
And on
I'll put your link in the bottom. Is that
yes.
you want people to go there? I'm assuming, right? And what services do you offer? So you're not. Yeah, what services are you offering? Are you offering consultancy? Are you actually going into houses and helping them decorate? Are you picking out pieces?
I'm only doing consultancy right now because I don't have the time and power to go somewhere and decorate because I'm still in school as well.
Okay.
But I do give consultancies, and I also do them in English if anyone wants to have it in English. But my website is in Dutch. I'm so sorry.
So anybody can use your services. Anybody who's interested in making their spaces look more beautiful, more cohesive, like you said. What would you say is the ideal customer for you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like they drop you a line and you're like, this is the perfect customer for me. I have all the ideas for them. Who is this person?
If you're a little bit open-minded and you know what kind of feeling you want in your house, that's enough.
So they have a little bit of an idea and they're open-minded to your ideas.
Yeah, if you know what kind of feeling you want in your house, like for example, you know that if you want to go into your bedroom, you either want to have a very relaxing bedroom because you want to sleep, or you have a very fresh bedroom, so you have fun to get up in the morning. That's kind of the feelings that I'm looking for. So if you know your feeling that you want to have with your space, like I want a living room to relax in, then I can help you.
Okay. So how does that help come about? Like what's your procedure? They come to you, they drop you a line through what's the best way to contact you for this? Through your website?
Yeah, through my website, I have a contact form, which leads to my email. And then I can always give my phone number, which we can talk about. And most of the time, I lead either a brainstorm in which I really try to come close to your deepest wishes and needs, and when it comes to interior, because a lot of the time people don't even realize what they really want. And when it comes to very functional rooms like a kitchen or a bathroom, it's very good to listen to their daily routines as well. What would be handy, what would not be handy in certain situations.
Okay. And
so that's kind of how I go about.
This happens on like a Zoom call or a Teams call or something like that?
Normally I would go to these people, but if you're far away, then yes, it would be also.
We're talking global here. We're taking over the world with your interior design business. So they come to you. What are they looking at? Like an hour Zoom call or video call? Depending
on the question, depending on what they want. I do everything at measure of the person, So depending on the questions they have, on what advice they would like, I can fix it.
Okay, so right now you're very very flexible with your plans. You don't have hey, I want you to make my room /office /studio the perfect space for me. Or hey, I want to redesign my whole house.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Can accommodate all those needs.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, Tamara, I think that covers all the topics, at least for today. I am sure that as time progresses, we're going to have to hop on another call and talk about many more things.
I would love to.
So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.